Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be reviewing a rod, a bait casting rod, a bass rod, a Dobyns Fury. Okay, so today we're going to be reviewing the Dobyns Fury. Now these rods, I actually own two of them, two different models. I own the Dobyns, the Fury, the 735, which is a 7'3" 5-power rod, and then the 704, just 7'4" power rod. And these rods, I've had them for a couple years now. Well, this one, the 704, I've had this one for, I fished it, I bought it like last winter, and I fished it all last spring, summer, and fall, so all last fishing season. Caught a lot of fish on it. It handled it really well. And then this one here, this 735, I got 2 years ago, I believe, so I fished it for 2 different seasons. And it's also handled really well. These are really nice rods. They're fairly light. They are a little bit heavier than some other brands in this price range, but they're still decently weighted. They're not so heavy that they're like uncomfortable to fish with, but if you're used to fishing like really light rods, you'll be able to tell the difference. But if I pick like this up, the Dobyns Fury, which is retailed at about 119, 120 bucks, or 110 to 120 depending on where you're at, versus like the Powell Inferno, which is like $110 rod. This is a lot heavier than that. But when I'm fishing them, really I don't care. To me, weight is not a huge thing unless it's like super heavy. So these rods, they don't weigh enough to really like, to really make me like not want to use them. I still fish with them. I still love them. These are great rods. Really, for the price, you can't really, I haven't really fished with a whole lot of other rods, but really, for me, like you can't really get any better than this. They're super nice rods. And they're really affordable. They come in a bunch of different models. Like I said, this one here is 735. I have the 704. But, I really don't have any complaints with them. The eyes on here, I'm not sure the brand on the eyes, if they're Fuji or whatnot. I'm not really sure on that. I haven't looked it up. But, they're pretty good. These eyes, the guides they're not like micro guides, but they're not normal guides. They're kind of like in the semi-micro or like a medium micro. They get fairly small at the tip, but they're not as small as like a micro guide rod. So they work okay if you're using leaders, like braid to fluorocarbon leader. As long as you get a really good small knot, you can get it to go through. But for me, I like to fish them. It's easier to fish if you have straight braid or straight fluorocarbon, just to get through those guides. I haven't really had any problems with them. This one here, like I said, I've had for 2 years, 2 different seasons. Well, spring, summer, and fall would be a fishing season for me, and I've had this for 2 years, so 2 different seasons, and it's a really nice rod. As you can see, there is some wearing on the cork. The cork is pretty beat up. And this cork, I don't know, it doesn't last as long as like some of the higher end cork, but it's still like not, this is after 2 years of like abuse, and I abuse my rods pretty good. Some people fish with their rods, they fish really light, really careful, treat them like little babies. I'm pretty hard on my gear, I will toss my gear around in the boat. If I'm on the bank, I'll kind of throw a rod down if something exciting happens, someone hooks a big fish over there, I'll kind of toss it down, run over there. I'm not like, I'm not the one to be like super careful with my gear and like carefully set it down every time, you put it down or whatever. I'm a little bit more rough on my gear, and this rod has handled it. With the 735, the only problem I've had is that on one of the guides, don't know which one it is, this one right here I think, or actually both those two, in the boat, from actually tossing them down in the boat. The eyes got a little bit bent up. And nothing too bad. They kind of cracked the clear coating that they put over there, kind of cracked, and the eyes bent. So I just bent them back and then I actually put some super glue over them just to hold them strong so they wouldn't come loose. And it's been fine. And that's not the rod's fault at all. That's just me. Like I said, I'm roughing my gear, throwing it around, and it hitting the boat and rubbing against the edge of the boat. It happened. Just the way it was sitting in the boat. That's not Dobyns' fault at all. But these are, I just can't say. I mean, I'm not really good at doing reviews, but this is just, I just had to just show you guys that this rod here is a really good rod. If you're looking for a rod in $100 price range, 110, 120, this rod is awesome. Now on like Tackle Warehouse, I'll link a link down below at Tackle Warehouse. These rods, depending on what model, are about 120. So they're $119.99 before tax and shipping and all that. Which actually you should get free shipping on Tackle Warehouse if your order's over 50. But if I actually go down to my local store, my local Sportsman's Warehouse, they have them. They don't have all the models in them. So I do have to occasionally, like if I'm going to get a couple models that I want, I'm going to have to order them off there. But the actual store here in town actually has these rods for $110.90 or $109.99. See, so with tax, I can walk out of the store with one of these for 119 something, basically 120 bucks, and that's with tax and everything. Versus Tackle Warehouse, it's going to be, with tax, it's going to be more like, I'd say 130 bucks probably, maybe a little more than that, somewhere around 130 bucks. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive to do that than to get them from certain retailers, but they're anyway from the $100 to $120 range. These rods are nice. I would definitely recommend picking up these rods if you are looking for some rods. They're not, when you're fishing with them, they don't feel like super cheap. Like some rods you buy, especially like cheaper models, you pick them up and they're just not sensitive. They feel just like really cheap. This rod, it feels good. You pair it up with a decent reel, a Shimano Kanan or Shimano like Sitka. Pair them up with that like $120 reel, $100 reel, and they feel really good. So you're talking about like a $200 combo, and it feels super good. These rods, for me, are really sensitive. I've heard some people say they're not, like they've had issues with sensitivity. But like this is the 735. I have flipped jigs and dragged jigs around on this and can feel everything. And I haven't, missed a bite. I can feel everything. Feel when it hits rock, feel when it hits grass. So yeah, it's probably not the most sensitive rod, compared to like a $500 rod, but for its price point, it's a really nice rod. They make quite a bit of models. This rod here, the 735, was a great, like I said, flipping jigs, throwing frogs. It's a pretty good frog rod. This one actually, it's made for frogs, pitching and flipping, and small swim baits. A little 5-inch swim bait or little Kitech swim baits on this, definitely. And these rods, they are a little bit softer than some other models. They do have a little bit more of a parabolic action. What that means is they bend a lot more. So with rods with the actions, you have a fast action, which means that tip is just barely going to bend. Then you have a medium, so it's going to bend a little bit more. And then you have like your parabolic action, and usually that, like the whole rod has like an even bend all the way through. And these rods have more of that. They're not like, like this is a 735, 7'3", mag heavy, 5-power rod, right? So it's a mag heavy. And it's definitely going to do the job. It's not like, oh, it's a mag heavy, but it's, so parabolic that I can throw square bills on it or crankbaits on it. No, that's it. I'm not saying that, but this just has more of a moderate than most rods. It's a little bit softer than most rods. So like this says mag heavy. I would not look at this as a mag heavy. When I'm fishing it and I set the hook, I think it's a heavy action. Okay. Then for the 704, this is a heavy action rod. I fish it more like a medium heavy. It's got, you guys can't see it, but it's got a lot more bend in it, more of a parabolic bend in it. So it feels to me like a medium heavy, more than a heavy. And it's actually, compared to another medium heavy I have, this is actually lighter than a medium heavy in other brands. And they rate this as a heavy action rod. So I use it as a medium heavy. I throw spinnerbaits, square bills, stuff like that on it. Is it perfect for it? No. But this rod right here, the 704, is one of the most versatile rods that I have. I think it is the most versatile rod that I have. It will throw anything. I'll just read the specs. So this is 7 foot, 10 to 20 pound line, 1/4 ounce to 1 ounce of lure. Now, I don't know if I'd throw a 1 ounce lure on this rod. Probably up to maybe a 1/2 ounce. But like a 1/2 ounce jig is probably the highest I would go. But it says Texas rigs, jigs, Carolina rigs, spinnerbaits, and horny toads. And it can definitely do all of that. It definitely has the power, if you need it, to fish jigs. And I will actually put a clip in right here of a couple fish. Maybe I'll do a couple different fish that I've caught on this rod on a jig. So I'll play that. Oh, it's a good one too. As soon as it hit the water, must have landed on his head. Alright, so there you go. I don't know what clips I necessarily put in. I may have just put 1 or 2 in, maybe of like a 2 pounder or something. But this rod, definitely pitching around docks and pitching around brush and stuff with a 3/8 ounce jig. I could do it all day. I caught my PB on this rod on a 3/8 ounce jig, swimming it around a dock. And it's my PB. It's only 4.5 pounds, which is not really that big. But for me, I've been bass fishing for a couple years now. And I don't really target big fish necessarily. You know, the guys that have the huge, 8, 10, 12 pound bass, as their PBs, they usually target the big fish. They throw big swim baits, big baits. I just fish with normal baits, normal size jigs, normal spinner baits and stuff like that. And so occasionally I'll hook a nice fish. I'll hook a big fish. But most of the time, 2 and 3 pounders are normally what I catch and under. But this rod, it can handle it. It can handle it if it needs to, but it's also light enough to where you can throw spinnerbaits on. And I even have thrown square bills on it. But that's for a different video. But these rods, basically what I'm saying is these rods are really versatile. They've got a lot of flex to them, a lot more. So if you're going to buy these rods, I do recommend to buy one power up than you're looking for. So if you want like a medium heavy to heavy rod, I would get the 704, which says heavy. If you're looking for a medium heavy rod, maybe get the medium. I'm mixing it up now. But anyway, hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. The powers are lighter than, so like, if you want a medium heavy rod, get the heavy. If you want a medium rod, get the medium heavy. Kind of step it up a model, and that's just with my experience. You can do whatever and try it, but also go off of what they say, because if you go, they don't necessarily say it on Tackle Warehouse, but on Dobyns' website, it will tell you the techniques. It will say primary techniques and secondary techniques, and that's what I would go off of, what the techniques show you, and then I'd get it and then fish those techniques and figure out what you think is good, because everyone has a different style of fishing. Everyone fishes different, but for me, these rods are awesome. I totally would recommend them. So if you guys are thinking about getting them, go ahead and get them. And I'm definitely going to be buying more. I'm going to buy at least 2, maybe 3 more models in this line eventually. Don't know when. I was actually going to, and then ended up buying some drum stuff. But I'm definitely going to be buying more models in the Dobyns series. Really nice rod. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.